You are Locked On Rays, your daily Tampa Bay Rays podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, my name is Kevin Weiss.
I'm Ulises Sambrano.
It's your boy, Evan Closky.
And we're the host of the Locked On Rays podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Thank you for making us your very first listen every single day. Be sure to check out and subscribe to our YouTube channel at Locked On Rays. You can also find us on X and Instagram at Locked On Rays and email us anytime, lockedonrays@gmail.com. Today's episode is brought to you by Prize Picks, the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnMLB, LOCKEDONMLB, and use code all lowercase Locked On MLB for a first deposit match up to $100. That's unless you are an active member of professional baseball. Please don't bet. Whatever that guy's name that got suspended for life.
Marcano, yeah.
Yeah, there we go. Evan, the Rays are on a roll. 3 wins in a row, taking Sunday's game against the Orioles, taking 2, winning the greatest series in rivalry in all the sports, the Citrus series between the Marlins and the Rays.
Certainly the most refreshing series in all of sports.
Yes, that's true as well. Bookended by a couple off days, so perhaps some momentum for this team. They're at 500.
Well, they have won 5 of their last 7. You take that. It is crazy to think about that the win on Wednesday was the first time that Tampa Bay Rays have not trailed in a game since the Tyler Alexander perfect game bid, which was on May 17th. So we're talking like a little bit more than 2 weeks, a little bit more than that's 2+ weeks of playing baseball where you at some point in the game were trailing. That is like really hard to do. And probably why they only had 5 wins during that stretch. So it was just nice to kind of see the bats come alive in Miami and to just see a decent viewing experience, though Wednesday, they did their thing where they got runs and then they were like, oh, we're good. We're done there. And then Yandy decided to get picked off. But, yeah, good vibes. We'll take them going into the weekend series with Baltimore, 4-game set, and then taking on a Cubs team, which is fairly cold right now.
Can you pinpoint something that has been the key to this change for the Rays, or is it just the normal baseball season going ups and downs?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's necessarily one. I think the main thing is just some situational hitting. I think they're not really doing anything that's extravagant, right? That game on Wednesday, their expected batting average was in the 250s. I think it was actually lower than the Marlins by the end of the game. But what do? They had a nice – I mean, the Marlins also played horrific outfield defense. But, Brandon Lowe hit a clutch 3-run homer. That was the first time we saw a home run of, someone hitting a 3-run bomb, at least either a 3-run bomb or a grand slam. So at least 2 people on base. That was the first time, I think, May 12th? Yeah, May 12th when Jose Siri hit the grand slam. So again, I mean, that's like 3 weeks of baseball where you're dealing with solo jacks or 2-run homers. So you were down 3-0 and 1 swing of the bat. Boom, you're in position. Brandon Lowe had a big series. Randy Arozarena got on base. The swing's not looking great, but he's at least getting himself on base, which is fantastic. Josh Lowe is back. He had a big hit off a lefty for an RBI. Isaac Paredes continues to be the foundational pillar for this team. So I just think that with, you were able to get some runners in scoring position and you were able to finally get a clutch hit. So that, I think that was really the nice part. And of course, I do have to give credit. Someone needs to step up for this team, offensively speaking. And for the past week, it's been Jose Siri. He's been, single-handedly. I think he single-handedly won like 3 games for them in the past week. Huge base knock against Baltimore. and then what he did against Oakland back-to-back days. So, I mean, that's 3 games. We're talking about like 5 out of 7. 3 games really go right back to Siri. And then, another one of those games I think goes right back to Brandon Lowe. So you're getting people stepping up, and that's what you need, because Yandy kind of has fallen by the wayside a little bit, and Randy's still scuffling in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah, that's all good points there. And somebody needed to step up at the center field position, because if Siri wasn't getting it done, certainly DeLuca isn't getting it done as of late. He is almost Alex Jackson level of bad at the plate right now. Another theme from the past 3 wins, correct me if I'm wrong, guys, but the starting pitching gets into a little bit of trouble early in the game, but settles in and gives the team a chance to win, from Littell to Pepio to Eflin, which, again, that's another good sign. Eflin back, Josh Lowe is back, Brandon Lowe in the swing of things, Randy Arozarena drawing walks. Isaac Paredes has been the static member of this offense since day one. He's probably, if the Rays only have one all-star representative this year, it's going to have to go to Isaac Paredes, I think.
He's a surefire all-star right now. And, not to mention Taylor Walls and Colin Poche are almost it looks like they're going to return this weekend to the Rays. So there's a couple of transactional things that are about to happen as well, which we can get into a deep think about, because there's a lot of options at their disposal. But, you're getting a version of the team that we thought we were going to get beginning of spring training. You got to remember, and I mentioned this in April, right? My theme was get to May being 500. Now I didn't want to get to June being 500. It kind of got ugly there. They couldn't piece anything together. But they've been dealing a lot of players who are probably depth pieces long term have been really asked to do a lot. And on top of that, the guys who are supposed to be the everyday players, they have not been performing up to ability. So in April, when they were kind of getting by and got on a little bit of a heater there, they were leaning on Jose Caballero, Ben Wertvet, guys who were playing well above their pay grade. Yeah. And they came back down to earth. And that was bound to happen. What we thought might happen, though, is as they're coming down, Yandy and Randy are going to surge up. And that never happened, which is why you saw that ugly 6-game losing streak, was because it was like, people are regressing, and the everyday players who the team is supposed to lean on, they still stink. So, but it is a really astute observation by you to kind of mention starting pitching, weathering some storms early, and by the way, for people out there, I get it. Johnny DeLuca is like, for his last 25. He might be the transactional move, at least for Taylor. I mean, they got to bring Taylor Walls off the 60-day. So they need to create a spot for Taylor on the 40-man, which, you wonder, are they going to, I don't know if there's a move where they can bring up Oslevis Basabe to then 60-day DL him, since he's been out since April. I don't know if they can make that like Waggers pack move. I don't know the rules behind that. It might just be as simple as DFAing Lovelady, since Poche's coming back. They could also DFA, Uceta or Sterner, who just got put on the 40-man. So there could be, there are some peripheral options there for Walls to kind of take over on the 40-man. But that, we'll see what happens with that. But very quickly, Ryan Pepio, his stuff plus right now via Fangraphs, he has a higher stuff plus than Tyler Glasnow. So while the results haven't firmly been there, he, to me, is looking like a darn near ace. Once he kind of fleshes out the kinks here, his stuff is fantastic. And I think if you would have just did Glasnow for Pepio straight up, I think that would have been worthwhile. The fact that they got DeLuca as well, who I think at the very worst is a depth piece, outfield, really good outfield defender / good base runner. That's looking like the floor for DeLuca. But, you got to also remember DeLuca had 44 major league at-bats before this season. It's like he's finally going through his first slump.
Pepio's about $140 million cheaper than Tyler Glass now, which the Rays and pretty much any organization.
I mean, you got a few years of control on him before you have to even worry about arbitration years. So.
With Policygenius, you can find life insurance policies that start at just $292 per year for $1 million of coverage. And some options are 100% online and let you avoid those unnecessary medical exams. Policygenius helps you easily compare your options from America's top insurers in just a few clicks. Their award-winning agents can even walk you through the process step by step to make it a comfortable experience. Policygenius has no incentive to recommend one insurer over another, so you can trust their guidance. They have thousands of 5-star reviews on Google and Trustpilot from customers who found the best fit for their respective needs. So get peace of mind by finding the right life insurance with Policygenius. Head to policygenius.com or click the link in the description to get your free life insurance quotes and see how much you could save. That is policygenius.com. Again, policygenius.com.
I said this the other day. I was like, little by little, Ryan Pepio is becoming like must-watch TV for Rays fans because he usually will keep you in the game. It's really interesting the kind of stuff that he can do because the fastball is not 98, 99, 100. It's actually sitting at 94.7 average. So it's really amazing what he's been able to do with his stuff. Now, we got somebody on the comments said like, "Oh, you're ridiculous. How can you mention that he's must-watch TV?" Well, thank you for that, Evan, because that actually backs up my thing.
Hey, he throws change-ups to same-sided hitters. That's a rarity.
It's pretty cool. He's a pretty cool kid. Now, I'll give you another observation. The Rays have been kind of driving some of us insane with the all-righty lineups.
Yeah.
All-righty lineups, lefty. All-righty lineups against the lefty. All-righty lineups. We can go up and down the analytics and all that. But lately, they've changed that tune with Brendan Lowe getting a little bit more at-bats against lefties. Do you see now with the Orioles coming in and Cole Irvin, who has been fantastic, especially in his last 7 starts, he has like a whip of 0.9. Do you think we're going to see a Josh Lowe, a Brendan Lowe, who are lefties facing Cole, or do you think the Rays are going to revert back to an all-righty lineup?
I think it all depends, right? Like, I will say the past couple of weeks, for as much as I agree with people out there that are saying that this is probably the worst managerial season so far from Kevin Cash, the past couple of weeks, it has been fun to watch Cash manage because I feel like for the first time, we're kind of witnessing him make his stamp on the lineup. Like he's breaking with, like knocking Randy down in the order. He's been very aggressive with his pitchers. Now, sometimes, I forget kind of which games it's happened or whatever it might be. Sometimes he's made a pitching change, like maybe it was Maton in Baltimore, right? He was a great, who was pitching in that game? They were kind of losing it a little bit. They were kind of, who started that game?
Wait, was that the first Miami game?
It was the first Baltimore game. Savali, right? Savali it was a 6th inning. He kind of gave up that hit. It's usually the time where he kind of falters, and he yanked him out ASAP. Put in Lovelady, and I believe one was a doinker, one was a legit hit, and then Maton gave up the big hit. But while the results didn't work out, I appreciated that he's being aggressive, and I rather him manage aggressively and figure that stuff out than really stick to the plan, slot everybody where they're supposed to be, where the computer spits you out. It just feels like a little bit more, chutzpah with his lineup decisions, with his bullpen management, whatever. And so, you go back to what you were saying about Brandon Lowe hitting against in the Baltimore series, Danny Colombe or whatever. I still don't know how to pronounce his last name. But he's also a guy that his splits are actually better against righties than lefties, and Kevin said that in that point of the game, he needs someone who can put the ball out of the ballpark. And I think that's also weighing into some of his decisions. Like, is it worth it for me to do the old lefty thing and play the righty when the righty, like, it may be going to get me a single, maybe an extra single, or is it best to just play Lowe and hope that one of 3 of these at bats, maybe he gets a hold of one? And
happened with Luzardo. Happened against Luzardo twice.
His swings against lefties this week thus far have looked really solid. So it's getting to the point of, and again with Luzardo, his numbers against lefties in a very small sample size have not been great this year. So it allows you to make those decisions. I haven't looked into Irvin yet of whether like his splits are so astronomical. If they're an astronomical split, then you should go an all righty lineup. But if they're not, maybe you do allow Brandon, who's seeing the ball well right now. Hey, keep hitting, and that's, as I've always said on this show with Brandon, this is what you're going to get out of Brandon. He's going to have a really nice phase of playing baseball, and you're going to love him for 2 weeks, and then he's going to strike out every other plate appearance for 2 weeks, and you're going to hate his guts. And that's just, but at the end of the year, if healthy, the numbers will be there. It's just you don't know when it's going to come and when those surges are going to come and when he's going to fall off a cliff. So that's why, in the end, from a second base production side of things, usually he pays off in the long run. And, considering since he came back, he helped them helped win a game in Miami. He was huge in that comeback win against the Royals. So he's also got a couple, 2 to 3 games where it's like, hey, my fingerprints are all over this win. And that's kind of what you need.
I do have only the batting average splits. So excuse me, analytical fans. I just have the batting average here on my phone. Against righties, Cole is getting hit 268 clip. And against lefties, they're hitting him 180. So could be a rough one. And we could be back to the old righty.
Yeah. And, I can't fault him if he goes heavy righty lineup, right? I mean, like the numbers are what the numbers are. So again, without digging much deeper into those numbers, as you alluded to, like at face value, it doesn't make much sense. But maybe it would be an interesting decision if you keep Brandon in the lineup and maybe drop him to like 7.
Yeah,
throw him at the bottom of the lineup and hope that if it gets to the 6th inning, when they turn it over, you're not facing another lefty by that time. So, those we'll see what happens. But, ultimately, I would just like them to continue working counts and kind of get to bullpens because for whatever reason, and the Rays kind of for the first time all season had success in like the 3rd and 4th inning in Miami. But for whatever reason, this team just they figure it out at the end of ball games. It's either like right out of the gates in the 1st inning, they're going to score some runs, or it's going to be the 8th and the 9th inning. They finally put it together. I don't know why, but it just seems like the quicker they can get to the bullpen, the more successful they might be with their at-bats.
Make the switch to Locked On Sports Today. It's a free 24/7 sports streaming channel programmed for you every day to bring you the biggest stories without all the screaming. Locked On Sports Today brings you can't miss analysis, opinions, and news. Streaming 24/7 on YouTube or the free Amazon Fire TV channels app. It's part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Evan, so the Rays on a 3-game winning streak, they return to the Trop with a 4-game set against the Orioles. Is it a wraparound series, I believe?
Yep.
Yeah, so
Prize Picks is America's #1 fantasy sports app with more than 5 million members. It is the most fun, exciting way to get in on the action while you watch your favorite sports and players. You just pick more or less on 2 or more player stats for a shot to win up to 100 times your cash. It is the perfect time to try out something new as basketball is winding down. So make sure to try out esports this month because for every Wednesday and Saturday in June, if your lineup doesn't win, you'll get your entry fee back. You can choose from games like Counter-Strike 2, Call of Duty, personal fave of mine, League of Legends, and more. So download the Prize Picks app today and use code LOCKDOWNMLB, LOCKEDONMLB, for a first deposit match up to $100.
From what I've seen, Savali, Bradley, Littell, and Pepia will be rounding up against a good Orioles team. Really
Bradley can't
Orioles.
be any worse in this start against the Orioles than he was in his last one.
9 earned runs in one outing. That's Josh
That was
Fleming
rough.
against the Red Sox. The Orioles have lost 2 one-run games against the Blue Jays coming into the series. They've actually not been good in one-run games. Now, when it comes to opening the floodgates and putting on 8, 9, 10 runs and putting forth clunkers against the opposition, they've done a good job of that. But what are your expectations for the Rays? What do you see them doing second act against the Orioles as they just faced them last week?
I mean, realistically, you're asking the team to split.
Yeah.
As I've mentioned either last week or a couple of weeks ago, at some point, the Rays are going to have to surprise you, right? As they crawl outside of this whole, like, as I mentioned, right? Like 90, 91 wins should get them into the wild card, right? To do that, you got to play 20 games above 500 from this point moving forward. So to do that, you're going to have to surprise at some point. So it's either going to have to be like a sweep against a team like the Orioles or a 3 of 4 in a 4-game set. So, in the back half of the year, you're going to put a lot of pressure on yourself to do some of that stuff. I don't know if you necessarily need to have that pressure now, but as far as like expectations are concerned, you have to split. Bare minimum, no exceptions. You have to split this. It's got to be 2 of 4. You can walk away from a series against the Orioles, a playoff-bound, surefire, awesome team, splitting it and being happy with that. Taking the whole, going 3 of 4 against the Orioles in 7 games within 2 weeks. Not ideal, but I would personally sign up for that. But you would hope that they can get to 3 of 4. I'm not expecting it. I don't think it's going to happen either. But really, this team has to start putting their foot a little bit more on the gas pedal. And in this series in particular, that's where you can kind of steal. Winning 3 of 4 against the Orioles would be like stealing a win. And then we can take one of those wins and inject that into the White Sox series you screwed up in Chicago, because, as I mentioned, everyone is going to go. Chicago has 15 wins, 4 against the Rays. We're more than 1/3 of the way through the season.
It's unreal.
That is incredibly inept. So you screwed that up. You should have been 5-1 in those games, and you went 2 and 4. So you're going to have to slowly steal games. And that's what I always think about in my head now. It's like, okay, you screwed up that series in Chicago. Unforgivable, but you can make up for it. And if you can go 3 or 4 against the Orioles, we can at least pocket one of those wins, move it over into that series, and then kind of keep a tally in our head of like, okay, I finally have, I'm going to stop bringing it up. Like, that's to me, like, that's like how it's going to go. Like, all right, if you've done this and then you swept this team and then I'm done bringing it up because you made it up on the back end and later in the season.
Right. Well, hopefully the Trop is the 10th defender in this series between the ceiling and the bullpens being in foul territory and the way the ball bounces on the turf. Hopefully that plays into some errors or mistakes defensively for the Orioles. All right, it is baseball trivia. Name that wartime. Ulises, what do you have in the angle of baseball trivia?
Well, guess what, boys? 10 years ago, it was the last time that the Baltimore Orioles were in the ALCS, and they're looking pretty good that they could be a candidate to make the ALCS this year, too. So 10 years ago, 2014, imagine where you were in 2014, all of you. Well, guess what? I'm going to ask you both, gentlemen, to name me 5 of the 10 Oriole players that had at least one at-bat in Game 1 of the ALCS in 2014 for the Baltimore Orioles.
Manny Machado.
Strike one.
Whoa, really?
All right. I will go with Chris Davis.
That was gonna be my next one. Yeah.
Strike two.
Holy okay, we really need a
Time
protect
out.
here.
Time out. Okay, let's discuss this. All right.
Don't went for the fences.
Was Nick Markakis on that team?
I think Markakis was. Names running through my head. These aren't guesses. Markakis, Brian Roberts.
I was thinking Roberts.
I think Markakis would be a good call though. Before he went to the Braves, I believe.
Yeah, that's my worry of him going to the Braves. But let's go with Nick Markakis.
He'd be correct. Batting leadoff, right field, Nick Markakis.
I mean, I was thinking Brian Roberts myself.
All right, let's go Brian Roberts then. No.
That's a strike.
Okay,
three.
time out. Give us a little carrot here.
Okay. Foul tip it.
Was Tejada on that team?
I was just about to say Miguel Tejada.
Oh, you know what? I got a good one. Matt Wieters had to be on the roster in 2014.
Yes. Okay, go Matt Wieters.
Matt Wieters.
Now,
You're kidding.
that's
Okay.
wrong. That's wrong. But I did say game one of the ALCS. So you have to expand. No, Wieters was not in game one.
All
I
right.
So
But you
was
heard it. And there are so many
Ramon
names.
whatever his name is?
No, what we
Ramon
did
Hernandez?
was Miguel Tejada on there?
Strike seven? I don't.
Yeah, yeah.
This is
This
incredible.
is like a Jose Siri game, a Randy game.
Oh my god!
You guys
Hold
are
on.
going to be disappointed because you know all of these names.
Time
All
out.
of these names you
Time
know.
out. I know. Okay, just give us another 30. Give us another like 9 strikes.
Okay.
Come on, we
These
gotta
are all
think
foul
about this.
tips.
Yeah.
Working the count.
Wasn't
Yeah.
Zach Britton? Was Zach Britton the closer on this team?
He had to be. Zach Britton had to be on the roster.
I'm looking for brownie points.
Wait,
now.
but
I think,
we're
I
only
think
looking
Jeremy
at
Guthrie was probably on the roster too.
the question was people that were in game one that took 180.
Okay.
Oh, the pitcher.
180.
Who was their stud?
Who was their ace in 2014? Was it Guthrie?
Would he have been their one?
Was it what's his face? He got hurt after he signed a deal, I think, from the Mariners to the Orioles.
Bedard. Eric Bedard.
Eric Bedard.
Okay, first of all, guys, we'll listen to the question. That took one AB, one at bat.
Oh, it
Right.
had to be all position players. Okay.
Yes. No players at all. One
Well,
at bat.
it's
in game
possible a
one.
pitcher could have taken it at bat. I mean,
In the ALCS.
In the
oh
ALCS,
no, never mind.
No, I went. No, I was looking for brownie points. Okay, hold on.
Oh man.
Hold up.
Jim
This one's gonna
Tomei.
sting. This one's gonna sting, guys. I'm sorry.
Jim Tomei.
Died.
I really want to wait. Hold on.
I'm about to guess Cal Ripken. We've been so far off the mark.
2014. I'm questioning everything right
I'm
now.
giving you one more guess.
Orioles 2014. JJ Hardy. I don't know.
That's a good guess.
Yes, playing shortstop, JJ Mother Bleeping Hardy.
All right, we should probably end on that one, I guess.
Yes.
Unless Closky
Yeah.
feels
No,
the
let's
type of way.
just end it right there.
All right, so the outfield, right fielder Markakis, left field Alejandro De Aza, center field. Come on, Adam Jones playing
bad.
center.
That's a dumb
Field.
one. That's a dumb one by us.
Yeah. Then you also got Ryan Flaherty in third base. Okay, that's a great name. Okay, you got Hardy at short. Second base, he's a legend. Jonathan Scope playing second base.
Scope.
Playing first base, Rays legend Steve Pierce.
Oh god.
Okay, my first question is how did this team make it to the ALCS
Oh, my
with this roster?
Behind the dish, Nick Hundley, and
I was
getting
never
a
gonna get that.
pinch hitter at bat, one single one that game. Rays, actually, Devil Rays legend and Rays legend, Mr. Delman Young.
Okay, you give me this list before giving me giving me anything else, and I would say, yeah, this team won 76 games.
The only thing I truly regret is Adam Jones. That was bad by us. Everything else I can at least sleep easy at night. That was a bad miss by us.
Well, BT Dubs, the DH, Rays legend, Nelson Cruz.
Oh my God. Nelson Cruz was in my head, but I was like, oh, he only played one season. No way it was this one.
And that's the one.
I should have just done it when we were out of outs. Whatever. Okay, that was
right.
Great. That was a good question. That was
time for Name That War. The Rays just played the Marlins, and this guy played for not the Miami Marlins, but the Florida Marlins for a period of time. You may have heard of him. You may be familiar with his style of play. Luis Castillo, what is his career baseball WAR?
Ooh.
Oh, great.
Ooh.
At least a 15-year career.
Yeah, that's a long career. And I feel like he had a really strong defensive peak too, outside of dropping that ball with the Mets against the Yankees.
At least he was like a 280 hitter. I'm thinking good runner, but not good base stealer. I don't know why I'm getting that. Or was he slow at the end?
Am I gonna overshoot this?
I feel like if he averaged 120 hits per season, and I'm telling him that he had like maybe 15 seasons, it's 1,800 hits.
Need a guess, gentlemen.
I'm going to go with 24.3.
Okay.
30.2.
30.2. Okay. You guys are very close on the numbers rattled off. He did play 15 years, 10 of those with the Marlins. He had 1,889 hits, had a career 290 batting average, had a whopping 28 home runs in his career. Stolen bases, though, much better, 370, including a league-leading 62 and 48. A lot of triples to his game as well, some doubles. 3-time All-Star, 3-time Gold Glove winner, 2003 World Series champion. Moreover, he is the only player who played for the Marlins in both of their World Series winning seasons who did not get traded in between the two seasons. I don't know why I'm reading that. That's not – I just copied and pasted there. The important thing is he is the all-time leader in both games played and base hits for the Marlins, and is one of only two players to play 1,000 games for the franchise, the other being Mr. Marlin, Jeff Conine. Luis Castillo's career WAR is 29.1. Very good.
Very good. That was awesome.
I think that's the best number I've ever done.
That was pretty good.
That was the best I've ever done in this game.
You guys were pretty right on the mark with those overall statistics as well. So
he was so fun.
That
I literally did like 15 times 2 and was like, I'll call it good.
Yeah.
I was like,
and
average 2 WAR.
Did not strike out very much either. There were seasons where he struck out like 45 times, 58 times, so on and so forth. All right, Evan, how can people find your wonderful work?
You can find me at Closky WTSP on the X. I suggest that you tweet me, ask me questions. 99% of the time I will respond. The 1% reserved for the jerks. You can go. But you can also head to 10tampabay.com. We have mandatory minicamp coming up for the Buccaneers next week. They just made a signing of Sterling Shepard recently to add to that wide receiver group. So we're still cooking up with all our other stuff. And, NHL free agency will be July 1. So we still need a little time there on the Bolts before we have more news. But 10tampabay.com, 10tampabay Plus, and also at Closky WTSP on the X.
Evan, you are the man. We appreciate it, and we will talk to you all soon.